talk a little bit about why we want to be on YouTube. Obviously, the chart we're looking at is painfully obvious from the standpoint of where YouTube stands in the online video marketplace. To say that they have a bit of a lead amongst their competitors would be an understatement. But beyond just online video, YouTube is the third largest website in the world based upon just raw traffic. And not only is it the third largest website in the world, because of the way we interact with content on the internet, it's the second largest search engine in the world just behind Google. And if you're aware that Google owns YouTube, you can imagine the ramifications that might have on search results, not only whenever you're on YouTube itself, but also within Google, and we'll talk a little bit about that later. To assume that the people that would be donating to your cause or supporting your efforts in some way are not watching YouTube would be a false assumption. Everybody, the demographics are across the board, from folks that are younger than in their teens, people that are well into their 60s and 70s and 80s are regular viewers of YouTube content. And because of that, it's absolutely critical that we are doing everything we can to optimize and market our content to make sure that people can find it. And that not only means that we're doing public relations and we're reaching out to people, but we're marketing and optimizing our content so when people are searching for stuff on the internet, they're going to find our stuff too. A few fun facts, that every single 60 seconds, over 13 hours of videos are uploaded to YouTube. Every second. 80 million videos are watched every single day on the platform, and there's over 200,000 new videos that are put up on YouTube every day. So, you know, those numbers make you know, lowly folks like us feel like, oh my gosh, how in the world am I supposed to stand out, you know, in the crowd when that's the kind of competition I'm going up against? Well, one thing that's really nice is over 95% of those videos, it's kind of a sad stat, over 95% of the videos that go up on YouTube will never see 100 views on them. And it's, you know, they're the obvious stuff. They're the silly videos that, you know, you put up there because your cat, you know, chased a ball of yarn across the yard, you know, something like that. It's cute. No one's ever going to see them. So while there's a huge amount of volume on the website, it's not that difficult. It takes some elbow grease, but it's not that difficult to create content that rises to the top so when people are searching it, you know, people are going to find it. So what are the benefits to jumping onto YouTube, other video sharing sites, and getting content out there? Well, number one, it increases traffic to your website. We're going to show you how we want to share content on YouTube that will actually drive traffic to your main, you know, marketing site or your main organization site. It increases the search engine results from this new web presence. Whenever you put content up on YouTube, you're essentially creating a new doorway to your organization. Even if you already have a YouTube channel, each individual page or each individual video you put up, and there are a few other things you can do on YouTube that essentially create new doorways into your organization for people to find you. Increases the links to your website, which helps the search engine results. It helps push competitors off the first page of Google. Now, this is something that's very interesting to understand. Typically, whenever we're doing things in marketing, our focus is on how do I take care of me, my organization? How do I do something so that people find my organization? The other part of marketing, especially when you're dealing with social media in general, part of the game now, because you have so much potential to put your content out in multiple places on the web, is to not only put your stuff in front of your potential users, but to put your stuff up in front of potential donors multiple times, which means if I do a search on Google and I've only got 10 search responses that come back in that first search engine result, if I or my organization owns 5 of those spots, guess what happens? The people that are competing for that same donor get pushed off that search results page. And that's critical to understand because over 80%, 83% of the people that do searches on Google or YouTube will not go to the second page of the results. If they don't see what they're looking for on the first page, they'll either click on something that's presented to them in the top 10, or they will refine their search and look for something that is similar but has a different phrase in it. So moving the competition out of the way is almost as critical as you finding your way up to the home page to begin with. And I'll show you in a couple of screenshots here how that's able to be facilitated through YouTube. And then obviously it creates a whole new marketing channel for new users, a new audience, new donors via the subscriptions, through them sharing your content, through them having friends on different profiles and people seeing stuff like that. So if we're going to activate it, we're going to activate a donor base on YouTube, we have to understand that whenever we're creating content, this is something that, isn't, let's go get the head of the organization and stick him in front of a bed sheet and put a light on him and have him, talking to a camcorder. You've got to create content that's compelling. And I want to make sure that everybody understands during this presentation that the end game here essentially is me showing you how to, and you're going to have to forgive me, I'm from Texas, is how do we lead the horse to water? Now, if a horse goes and the water's bitter, the horse isn't going to drink. Or if the horse shows up to the trough and the trough is empty, so the horse has nothing to drink. And so it's really important to understand that this presentation is not about making an awesome video. It's not about making a video that is super compelling. My assumption is that you're smart enough as marketing and advertising and communications professionals to understand that any collateral you put in front of somebody, whether it's printed, whether it's a website or a web page, whether it's a video, whether it's a blog post, anything you put in front of somebody has to serve a purpose, has to be compelling, entertaining, informative, educational, something in order to grab somebody's attention and compel them to do something else. The point of the presentation today is we're going to assume that you've got a great video, but let me give you some tips whenever you're creating your content on YouTube that you need to be looking for or you need to be striving for when you're making your video for YouTube. Obviously, folks, and I think that people have a better view of the economy today than we did a couple of years ago, but people are still, they have high expectations for the content they consume online. Number one, and this is what I talked about briefly, we'll talk about more in the presentation, is findability. People don't actively walk around saying, I want to watch videos that I can find, but they behave in such a way that if they can't find your content, they're never going to see it, right? So that's got to be a critical point in activating your audience. You've got to make sure that when they're searching for stuff, they find you. So findability is critical, number one. Stickiness, when they get there, we've got to be able to look at our content on YouTube, and YouTube has an analytics program called Insights, and it's free, and it's on every YouTube account that's out there. If you have a YouTube channel now, you have YouTube Insight. And YouTube Insight will show you what interesting parts of the video people like the most, where your video is the most interesting, where people drop off, stuff like that. You need to make sure your video is sticky, that people watch it all the way through. You need to look for specific areas on the video where people pay specific attention to, and I'll show you how to see that in a little bit. Loyalty. You want videos that make people come back to your channel. You want to create a YouTube channel if you have multiple videos, and you need to have multiple videos, that create an audience that wants to come back and consume more content from you. Referability. You want content that people are interested enough in, they want to share it with their brother and sister, and with their mom and dad, and with their son and daughter, and their friends and their coworkers. Maximum conversion rate. This is a tricky one because some videos, and the video I'm going to use for a case study to kind of create this cohesion through this presentation, the conversion rate essentially is promoting an event where people show up. And having people show up to the event is part of the conversion. But then the event itself, which is a Christian alternative rock festival, the conversion at the event happens with all the vendors that are there, happens with the evangelism that happens at the concert, happens with a neighbor inviting another neighbor to the concert, and that person that gets invited along, maybe they didn't have Jesus in their life and they leave, either finding Jesus at the event or are expecting to look into it later, things like that. So conversion rates are tricky. And we actually did a webinar yesterday where we talked a lot about conversion rates, but we're not going to get too much into those. But your videos need to have that in mind whenever you're creating them. Obviously, dynamism. The worst thing you can do is stick somebody in front of a camera sitting on a bar stool with a white background talking directly into the camera. And if anybody out there has videos like that right now, I apologize. Don't mean to insult. But we have to understand the space we're in and the fact that there's a lot of competition out there. And unless that person sitting on the bar stool is unbelievably engaging, you're going to have a hard sell with the competition you have on YouTube right now. And then obviously, you want to generate a positive either return on investment or return on effort. And again, we've got another webinar where we talk about that stuff, but you kind of need to know the amount of time and energy and finances you put into a video. What is it going to take? What's my goal? In order for me to turn around and say, you know what, boom, that was a good idea. Goals that you should set for your videos, some other stuff you need to look for. Obviously, we want to incite action. We want people to do something afterwards. We want to inspire, grow brand awareness. Obviously, a lot of folks are on the phone because we're looking at donors. We want to be able to raise funds, attract a much wide audience, and then we want viralness. We want people to pick up our video and share it with others. Okay, so case study. What we're talking about is each year in Dallas, there is a summer festival called 40 Fest. And 40 Fest is nothing more than an alternative rock concert in Dallas. Usually happens in the city in between Dallas and Fort Worth, so they've got a good audience. But, you know, it's your kind of standard, you know, Christian rock concert where you have, you know, 12 or 15 bands playing throughout an afternoon. In between bands, you know, finishing and setting up, you usually have someone up on stage that's evangelizing. You've got vendors there, multiple different causes. And so essentially the point of the video is we're going to show folks what the concert was like the previous year, and hopefully this shows them how fun it is and neat it is, and how some people, you know, had a really good time there, and encourages folks to go to the website. And you see on the screenshot I have there, I've got a caption that pops up from the logo that says, you know, 2011 lineup posted now. See it here at http://40fest.org. One thing that I really wish YouTube would allow us to do, but they don't at this point, is I could, within that caption, actually have a hyperlink, a clickable link that would go off to another video on YouTube. Can't go to an outside website. So that's something I wish was there, but it's not. But we'll talk about that a little bit later. So our conversion here is essentially getting people to the gate. And let's talk about the different things we do to create a video that is compelling, that engages people, that gets them maybe to go to the gate. So number one, these are a few kind of tactical rules on your videos. Keep it under 5 minutes. 5 minutes, even with a really good video, especially to this audience, can feel very, very long. I really recommend you trying to keep your videos at around 2 to 3 minutes if possible. You need to get in there, set something up, do a little something with entertaining folks, have a call to action, get out, basically. And when you're creating this content, 2 to 3 minutes on the surface sounds like it's not very much time. That's quite a bit of time to do something on video. It's a lot of time, actually. Shorter videos, just in general, we see from behavioral studies generate the most views on YouTube. On average, a YouTube video that is watched from beginning to end completely, and this is critical because what you're trying to do is at the end somewhere you have a call to action, right? And typically that call to action is at the end of the video. Average view of a video that is watched from beginning to end, 3 minutes and 18 seconds. So that's about your sweet spot. I would never, if there's any way I possibly could, never go over that. By adhering to a rule like this, and basically this works for most of the stuff I'm going to teach you today, what doing something like this does is it increases the views, which obviously views means that the video becomes more popular, right? Whenever a video is more popular, naturally, just because of the extra activity and the extra viewing, you're going to get more comments on the video, more people are going to favorite it, more people are going to bookmark it inside their browsers, more people are going to take that video and embed it in other places if you allow that, and more people are going to share it. All that stuff equals more links into that video. Now, if you've got hyperlinks, and you see in the description down there, we'll talk about this in a little bit, in the description, I've got a hyperlink there to the 40 Fest site. Every time someone goes and watches that video, that's one more person that has access to that link to the site. And when people embed the video, that is one more place where that link to 40 Fest is embedded somewhere else on the internet. That's the food that feeds Google, is links back to a site. Now, because we're creating more incoming links, that increases Google's page rank or Google's perceived authority of our website, which means that organically then, that increases our placement not only in the search results on Google, but also in the search results on YouTube, and then that bleeds into the other web search engines like Bing and Yahoo and all the rest. So Something as simple as adhering to these